Welcome to the Millionaire Mindset and Strategy Secrets podcast, the podcast for visionary women ready to break through the old rules of business and step into next level leadership, income, and impact. My name is Maggie. I'm a business mentor, strategist, and former multi six-figure entrepreneur turned soul-led advisor for women who aren't here to play small.
And I'm Stephanie, an ex-corporate gal turned serial entrepreneur, a CEO, mindset mentor, and boundary strategist. I help women clean up their time leaks so they can run their business on their terms. And if you've been feeling like you've outgrown your current strategy, you're craving smarter systems, deeper alignment, and more spacious success, you're in the right place.
So every week, we'll dive into behind the scenes strategy, energetics, and mindset shifts that help high achieving women create thriving businesses that feel like home. This is where vision meets execution and $1 million growth starts from the inside up. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Millionaire Mindset and Strategy Secrets podcast. My name is Maggie. I'm your co host, and today I'm here for a solo episode. We are talking all about scaling from strategy, not from stress. So, we're going to talk about why so many people hit different plateaus at different income levels, right? Even from, just beginning to multi millions. And we're going to talk about having clean systems, smart support, and some CEO shifts that you can make that you can do to help you scale from strategy and not from stress. And then we're also going to talk just a little bit about what we have coming up next. I'm super excited to drop some roundtable discussion episodes coming up after this episode. So you're going to want to wait till the end because you're going to want to hear all about that. So let's get right into it. So if you are working on scaling anything in your business, whether that's from zero to $1,000, or maybe that's multi four figure months, days, years, maybe that's, whatever that piece is for you. Stress is not your strategy. And what I mean about stress is not your strategy when you're working on bringing in more business, on building up your income. If you're white knuckling it, if you're going balls to the wall just to try to get every single sale that you can, that is going to stress you out. And it's also not really a strategy because it's not necessarily scalable. Because if you're just trying to connect with every person possible, you're going to have to keep connecting with every person possible. And in order to scale with less stress, you want to start making customer evangelists. So, this is something that in my nearly 18 years, almost, 19, 20 years of business, this is something that I have come up against in every iteration of my businesses, and I've come up to this multiple times. So, a lot of times what happens is you start instead of feeling ease, right? You're in this cycle of like, oh my gosh, I'm making sales and doing all this, but then all of a sudden there's chaos. And I really want to talk about why there is all kinds of chaos and what you can do to work around it. So, this episode is really all about building a scalable, streamlined business that really works without burning you out, right? You want to be in the CEO seat. That's why you got into entrepreneurship. That's why you started business because you wanted something that was going to uplift you, not burn you out. So let's talk about why so many women plateau at all kinds of different income levels, okay? So when you talk about scaling and then meeting that plateau, oftentimes, and in the human design world, in the woo-woo spiritual world, right? Oftentimes plateaus are looked at as a springboard to the next level. So first of all, I just want you to remember that. If you're feeling like you're plateaued, like you're not building as much as you want to, instead of looking around and going, oh, the economy, oh, nobody's buying, oh, this, oh, that, this is a chance for you to go inside and have a little bit of a heart to heart with yourself and really think about and maybe journal or talk about why am I feeling like I'm plateauing right now? What do the numbers say in my business? And where do I want to go? What are some small changes I can implement that will maximize my results? So, if you're thinking about your offers, right? High touch offers, overextension, oftentimes in the coaching industry, it's very, very common to see, right? You have, here are my 37 things, and here's 50 more freebies, and here's this, and here's that. And you're constantly trying to give, 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 and you're hustling, right? And in the beginning, that's great because oftentimes in the beginning, we don't have a ton to offer. But as you get into business, well, now you have 75 freebies and 36 low ticket offers. And for your high ticket offer, you're just going to give everybody everything and push it out the door. And oh my gosh, now I can help anyone. And that's really stressful because you can't help everyone, right? Not everyone is your ideal client. And I want you to remember that. So if you're feeling like you're plateauing, and I would write this down, if you're somewhere where you can stop and write this down and, just think about this journal prompt is, am I giving too much? Am I putting too much in where my end user, my client is going, whoa, I get all of this, but also like, whoa, I get all of this. Now, I want to give you an example. So, I was recently in a 1 month mastermind. It was amazing. It was awesome. I will sing praises about it forever. But one thing that I had access to that I didn't even go into was, a library of like 75 different videos. And I'm not kidding when it was 75 different videos. And honestly, it was 75 because it was all about the gene keys. So there's 64 gene keys and there's just so it was a lot. Now, I chose not to go into that because I knew it would overwhelm me. I knew it would stress me out. I looked at the PDF, I downloaded the PDF, and that's great for me. Now, I want you to remember that when you are giving that amount of stuff, right? When you are giving all the things in your high touch offers, are you giving too much? That can cause a plateau. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to take things out and you have to have 75 different offers. That just means looking at what you have and what are my clients saying, right? So my feedback to that coach was, yeah, I didn't really use that Gene Keys library because it just wasn't relevant for me in this iteration, right? For me right now, it wasn't what I needed. The PDF is great. So that's some feedback that I gave to my coach to tell her that. Now, you could be looking for the same thing, and I encourage you to look for the same thing. So, something that most multi six figure earners have that um, will get them places are simple habits. Simple habits that can maximize results. And I want you to know that simplicity is going to win every single time when we are thinking about upping the income levels. Why? Because it's easy to interchange things when simplicity is on the table. So, if you're feeling really overwhelmed, if you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm doing so much work for so little ROI, how can you simplify? So, make sure you write that down. How can I simplify my offers so that my clients understand what they're getting? So that I can ask my clients, was this enough information? Was this not enough information? What would you like to see more or less of? Okay. So the next thing to think about is the real strategy behind sustainable growth, right? Now, if we're thinking about easy or ease, simplicity, and busy, right? Those feel very different, but let's think about this. A busy strategy can be something like, oh, I'm going to post 5 times a day on Instagram and I'm going to show up in stories. I'm going to get into 27 Facebook groups. I'm going to post on YouTube. I'm going to, post on Pinterest 36 times and I'm going to send out 5 email newsletters. That is busy work, right? So when we're looking for that simple or easy strategy, gone are the days where we need to show up everywhere all at the same time. If you are looking to build sustainable growth, get really comfortable with 1 or 2 platforms. I usually say 2 so that you can do some kind of like beta testing and market research in real time. So you can, create content once and then push it out to both channels and see which does better, what does better where, right? So you can keep a spreadsheet or keep a Notion or whatever that thing is, right? But you're keeping track of what you're posting, when you're posting it, and how it's doing. Because when you can have that simple data, and it doesn't have to be anything crazy, right? When I say track your numbers, that's looking at, okay, how many people are liking it? Are the numbers going up? Are the numbers going down? Are they staying the same? You don't even have to like, if numbers feel really triggering to you, like you're saying, oh, I only get like one or two likes. That's okay, right? But looking at that, who are the people who are liking your stuff? On Facebook, you can see that stuff, right? So, who's commenting? Is anyone commenting? What are they commenting, right? Are you having DM conversations with people who are commenting on your stuff, right? Is it relevant? Getting that kind of data from a posting strategy is really, really important when you're wanting to build sustainable growth because then the numbers don't lie. And I know it's not all about likes and comments, right? I know likes and comments do not equal clients, but likes and comments are a bridge to having a DM conversation, especially comments, especially when the people who are commenting then go and follow you. It's a really great way to open the door to send them a DM to say, hey, I'm so glad you're here. I've seen you commenting on my stuff. Tell me what is your favorite thing that I have posted? This is a really great way to bridge that gap of like, oh my gosh, this person that I've followed is actually following up with me in the DMs and we're having a conversation. This is a great way to create trust. And when you're building a sustainable strategy, building trust with your potential clients is going to warm them up from cold to hot much faster than if you're just relying on 27 different platforms posting and praying that someone is going to click your link. So, you know, when it comes to things like lead gen and offers, okay, and sales, I would say lead gen and sales because lead gen and sales can be very adjacent, right? You have to have lead gen in order to have sales, and they can kind of run together. They do cross, right? When your leads become a sale, and there is a time and a place when those leads are going to get asked the question, hey, do you want to know more about this offer that I have? And a lot of times people are missing that step. So, like I just talked about before, when you're plateauing, you're out there, you're hustling, you're showing up, you're doing all the things. And now all of a sudden you're busy out there hustling, but your DMs or your sales calls are non-existent. So when you implement simple strategies, now what I do for my clients is I help them implement strategies based on their human design. We look at their human design, their whole chart. I do a reading for them, but most of the time we work on type, strategy, authority, and then sometimes we look into their sun and earth gates, both in the design and the personality. So when we do that, we start to see these themes show up and we start to lean into what is going to feel easier for you to do. Now, if you're a projector, you're probably not out here hustling like a manifesting generator. And I just want to say, if you are a projector and you're hustling to the max, you don't have to. Now, this doesn't mean you sit back and twiddle your thumbs and wait for an invitation. This means you're just going about connecting with people in a very different way. Most projectors that I have worked with, their strategy for social media, for, like getting their word out there is honestly to seek out things like being on roundtable discussions, being in summits, being in front of an audience that's already warmed to what they're talking about. So take that into, thought as well. Make sure you are just understanding and leaning into simplicity versus busyness. Okay. So if your strategy feels like a struggle, right? Don't be afraid to slide right into my inbox and let me know, right? Even drop a comment below and just let us know, hey, I'm feeling like my strategy is busy or I'm feeling like I'm hustling. How can I change that? Because I have. And I'll drop the link below. So you can go ahead and book a free 30-minute call with me and let's go over what your current strategy is. Let's go over how we can make this easier for you to show up so that you don't have to worry about who or what or how things are coming to fruition, right? Let's get that on lock so that you don't have to worry about it. Because honestly, worrying about some of this stuff is really why you've plateaued, right? You're spending so much time worrying and processing and thinking and thinking and thinking that you can't really understand what is actually happening. So, the next thing I want to talk about is the power of systems and support, right? I know there's a lot of buzz about systems, there's a lot of buzz about support, right? And I don't mean just like tech, I mean, workflows. Specifically, I mean boundaries, onboarding, sales processes. So, when we're thinking about being a CEO, right? A CEO is not doing everything in their business. Now, I also understand that if you're not at a point in your business where you can bring on help, that's okay. But here's the thing. And this is something that Steph is amazing at. So if you haven't ever gotten a chance to do a coffee chat or something with Steph like that, I'm going to drop her link below to hop on a call with her. She's amazing at helping people set boundaries, but also helping people set up SOPs, which are standard operating procedures, right? And helping people understand the workflows that are not just like the tech workflows of how your funnel works. This is a workflow of like, okay, I want to wake up at 7 a.m. and I want to have coffee and do whatever for an hour. And then at 8 a.m., right? You're setting up that schedule and it doesn't have to be super rigid, but when you have that boundary to say, okay, here is what my day looks like, here's an ideal day, that's where you can start holding yourself accountable, which puts you into integrity, which if you are striving to be that multi five, six, seven, eight, nine figure earner, they all have boundaries. They all have workflows. They all have processes, sales processes laid out, not just sales, really processes for everything, right? And same thing with onboarding. So don't be afraid to, when you're, going through some of your stuff, write out, here's what I did, here's what I want to do in my day. And side note, if you really want, slide right into my DMs because I have a chat GPT prompt for helping you figure out your ideal day. So just slide into my DMs on Instagram. I am at Maggie Lynn Mentoring. And just say chat GPT and I will know what you're talking about. So make sure you go ahead and grab that. Now, the power of systems and support, right? When you are at the point where you can outsource, you want to have the structure built first. And this goes back to working with staff, getting your SOPs defined, figuring out your onboarding and offboarding process, your client journey, really, right? From cold to sold, and then from sold to beyond. You need to know that so that you're not just flailing about in chaos. Now, there's a reason why my solo podcast is called Chaos to Clarity because I talk all about understanding and navigating the chaos so that you can have clarity, so that you can have that clear vision coming to life as you're building it. So when you're hiring, don't outsource the chaos, build the structure first. And this again is going to go back to skipping the plateau, sustainable growth, having those processes in place is going to help you have that structure, that framework of being able to hand these things off. Because remember, when you're bringing people on to work with you, it's going to be chaos at first anyway. Okay, it's going to be chaos because this is someone new coming into your business and they have to learn how you do things. Now, they can do things their own way, but I promise you, every VA that you're going to work with is going to ask you, do you have a procedure for creating Canva? Do you have a procedure for creating, content, for emails, for calendar management? You are going to need to give them some sort of structure so that they know what you want to do. Now, you can build that structure give it to them and to the VA and say, I would love to go through this with you, and I would love for you to tell me where I can do better, where we can, tighten things up in here. So, and that is really like smart support and structure for your business, right? It's helping you buy back capacity and it's giving you clarity. So, bringing on people like VAs or OBMs, which are online business managers or strategic mentors like myself, we are people who are going to help you build that structure, understand what you need, give you kind of your placements of things so that you can have systems and support in a way that feels really good, kind of like you're sitting in a lounge chair. Which that brings me to my next point here. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is CEO level thinking, which is like the inner game, right? It's the mind game of scaling. So, this is where you're really stepping into integrity. You are stepping into your leadership. Okay, so this is you letting go of control, learning to trust your team, and really vision casting instead of micromanaging. Now, I know a lot of people, myself included, when I've brought people into my team, I feel very micromanaging because I want to do it. I've been doing it myself. So, in order to hand it off, feels a little bit like, oh my gosh, what if they mess up? Oh, this is just easier for me to do myself. And yes, it's going to feel like that, but also you have to learn to trust your team. And when you have the things like the systems, the support, right? When you have those SOPs, when you have the strategy all in place, that levels up your CEO level of thinking, right? It up levels your ability to have control. It up levels you being able to trust your team because when you have an SOP for whatever the thing is, say you bring on a VA, you have her doing 5 different tasks, you have 5 different SOPs, and again, it's going to be a little bit of onboarding for both of you to say to that person, I've built these SOPs, I want you to go through them. If you see places where we can expand, where we can get a little bit deeper, where we can tighten this up more, please let me know so that we can change it, so that it can be the best, so that you can work at your best and also being willing to have to receive feedback from those people that you're bringing in. A lot of people really don't like feedback. And I say this from a place of love because I also at first did not like feedback. So when I owned the yoga studio, and for those of you that didn't know, right, for those of you that are just tuning in here for the first time, maybe we've never met, I have owned businesses for nearly 18 years. I grew and started a photo business, and then I was also working in corporate. I left corporate in 2013. In 2014, I purchased a yoga studio that I was a teacher at. Um, and then in that yoga studio, I also created a yoga teacher training, and I started bringing people into the business there to help teach yoga. Now, something that I had to learn in the yoga studio was letting go of control, right? I had to learn to trust my team that they were going to do the things that I wanted them to do. Now, one thing that, stands out to me is honestly cleaning the bathrooms and the floor, right? Now, this may seem like something, well, obviously you would do that, but that wasn't necessarily the case, right? I didn't have an SOP of how to mop the floor after class. I didn't have an SOP of like what you should do with the bathroom every day. I didn't have an SOP about locking up after class until I didn't realize it wasn't happening, right? And now I don't live in a huge city, so it's not that big of a deal. But there were a couple times where I noticed, like, oh shoot, this person, the teacher that taught last, they didn't lock things up, So then I was kind of miffed because I'm like, well, shouldn't you know that? But it was a very simple conversation of me saying to that team member, hey, I noticed you didn't lock the door after class. It's not a big deal. I was here just a little bit after you left, I think. So just next time, could you lock it up? And that person actually let me know, like, hey, the key I have doesn't work, right? So it really came down to me just having a conversation, not being micromanaging to say, like, oh my gosh, you have to do blah, 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 right? It was just saying, like, hey, here's this thing. And then what I did after that was I wrote an SOP. Here's what you do after class, right? When all the students leave, you can lock the door, dry mop, wet mop the floor, and then just give the bathroom like a once over dusting just to make sure it stays clean and tidy. Okay. And once I did that, and then, the locking the door procedures, all that stuff. And then if a door isn't locking or if something's not working, to make sure they give me a call right away. Now, it wasn't me, again, being micromanaging. It was me seeing a problem from a CEO level and saying, okay, how can I make this better for myself, for my team, and then for future teachers, right? So having these things in place, yes, it might seem like unimportant right now if you're wanting more sales, but the thing is, the more sales you get, the less time you have to work on your business, right? You have a lot of time to work in your business, which is posting and sales calls and discovery calls and supporting clients, onboarding, offboarding. That's all in your business. When you work on your business, it's things like this. So, when we are thinking about the mindset gap of plateaus, right? When you're thinking about that first $100,000 or 100,000 to $250,000 or even 250 to $1 million a year, it's often not tactical. It's often internal. It's again learning to trust yourself for you showing up for yourself, which then in turn helps you show up for your clients and when the day comes, your team, whether that's one or two or 10 people or more, right? And it's things like this where when you show up in integrity, that internal narrative of like, oh my gosh, why isn't this person doing this? Oh my gosh, I didn't show up again today. Oh my gosh, that stuff starts to go away because you're giving your brain proof that you are showing up, you are doing the thing, you are moving the needle, you are moving forward. So just make sure you remember that um, as you are really moving up, right? As you're moving out of the plateau, as you're moving out of, wherever you are and into the power of really feeling that next level. So, I also just want to talk a little bit about what is coming up next for the Millionaire Mindset and Strategy Secrets. We are having a summit. So, we are having a summit. It's on July 21 and 22. You can definitely go ahead and grab your ticket down below. Something that we are doing in this summit is general admission is free. Now, general admission, you have to show up, you have to, be live in order to see the speakers. We have 6 speakers this time. Now, the only way you're going to get replays is if you opt into the VIP. Now, the VIP is loaded full of amazing things. All of our speakers are contributing something to the VIP. You're also getting access to the Millionaire Mindset and Strategy Secrets community. So, as some of you know, when you've listened in the past, we have a free secret podcast. Now, that secret podcast is an evergreen podcast. It's a lot of things that go just a little bit above and beyond what we talk about here. And it's a lot of, interviews and just freebies and things that Steph and I have created where you can really dig in and, again, elevate yourself to the next level. Now, accompanying that is a secret community that we have. It's off of Facebook. It's off of, it's not on social media. That is where Steph and I are showing up and really dropping the tea. Now, when you opt into the VIP option for the Millionaire Mindset and Strategy Secrets Summit, you are going to get access to that community. Normally, it is a $77 community, but for the VIPs who opt into the summit in July, you are going to get access to that. It is like the best bonus ever. Again, you're going to get replays, you're going to get so much stuff in there. It's really meant to elevate you. And again, the next level isn't necessarily about doing more, it's about doing it differently. And that's what we've done with the summit, with this secret community, with the free secret podcast that we have. These 3 things are really our way of being able to really nurture the people who want to be in our world. And I'm so excited to have this, to grow this. So, Again, if you have not grabbed the free secret podcast, which is the seven figure strategy secrets, there's a PDF and a podcast that goes with it. Again, we drop little nuggets in that free secret podcast, probably twice a month, I would say. Sometimes it's a little bit more, sometimes it's a little bit less, but it's definitely tangible things that you can put into action right now. It's the best way to get into my world, into Steph's world, and just to see what we're doing, what we're offering. Now, this free secret podcast is meant to help you prioritize with boundaries. So, like I talked about before, Steph is amazing at helping people set boundaries. This is a great way to start. And this isn't just a normal secret podcast, right? This podcast really gets you access to, like I said, behind the scenes podcast recordings, as well as bonus content, extra questions from roundtable interviews, PDFs, and more to help you understand and embody how high earning women think, lead, and grow. So, to recap, okay, what you're taking away from this podcast today. Um, you know, you don't have to build your business on hustle, right? We're not hustling. We are growing, right? And we're implementing simple, easy strategies. We're not doing busy strategies, right? So if you're curious, what is a busy strategy? Again, like I said, slide right into my DMs. Let me know. I want to have a conversation with you to help you understand what feels busy, what feels simple, right? That is a really, really key thing for me when I start working with people. I want you to have a simple strategy because simplicity makes it so much easier to show up, right? And the hard things don't feel as hard when they're baked with simplicity. So, again, systems and support, making sure you have processes, making sure you have SOPs. I know it sounds boring, but quite honestly, they're easier than you think. They're easier than you think because I also thought they were boring, right? And I didn't have them for a long time. And then I decided, no, you know what? Because every time I go and do this thing, if I'm going to hire someone, I'm going to have to sit and explain it over and over and over and over and over. And that is annoying. That is a waste of my time. It's better for me to spend an hour or two writing down everything I do to create content, to post it, to all the things, right? Than to explain it 27 times. Okay. And then upping your CEO level thinking, that inner game of scaling, right? Scaling comes from the inside out. So, and then make sure you hop into the July summit. We want to see you there. It's going to be so awesome. Like I said, it's 2 days. There are 6 speakers. And the best part of it is it's not a fire hose of information. This summit is really there to help you level up in a strategic and simple way. It's it's so good. I cannot say enough good things. I've been interviewing all of the speakers for the upcoming summit and it's just going to be it's packed with gold. It's already just chef's kiss next level. So I can't wait to see you in the next episode. Make sure you make sure you trip over your words and then make sure you subscribe, like, save, share, all the things. Make sure you let us know down below what your favorite part of the episode is and if you have any questions, because if you have any questions, those are things that we will use to create future episodes. We have ideas. We have tons of them. But we also want to hear from you. What do you want to hear about? What This is a great question. Actually, I asked this question of a lot of people. And if you're into human design, this is definitely my open head and ajna, just scrolling down a rabbit hole. But I want to know, what does a millionaire mindset mean to you? Let me know down below in the comments. And I can't wait to see you in the next episode. Have an amazing day.